So I'm Dr. Johnson. I am a practicing dentist anesthesiologist in Southern California. I work between Southern California and the Central Valley mostly within the last couple of years, travel into different offices. I'm centered specifically on the patient, and I tell the practices, okay, well, yeah, I can show you certain things that you need to do that can help you become more efficient, but the satisfaction came from helping people. And I wanted to make sure that I did not lose sight of that because I was chasing money. Right. So I am I would say the visionary, the person who conceives of an idea and talks that through with multiple individuals who can actually build the stuff that I want. So I refuse to be kind of distracted by anything that does not service the ultimate goal. Because I don't work with everybody. I don't, it's, my, because I tell you up front, my focus is the patient. So if you're coming to me and you're saying, well, look, we need to have better outcomes, we need to have better standardization and whatnot, I'm with you all the way. And as a benefit, you'll see the revenue increase without even having to try that hard, right? So that is how I present myself. But when I see the efficiency catalyst, I'm not just looking future, not just dentistry, healthcare in general. So I want to move past, or not move past, but include other areas of healthcare that I think need attention.
Hey guys, welcome to DentMent's podcast. Another episode, another great group of people. I know it's been a while. All of you guys missed us. Probably, at least me. I haven't been on the podcast for a while. We got the amazing Dr. Neil Johnson here. Dr. Neil, he just got done from his practice, and right now I'm sure he's pretty pumped up for it. Aren't you, Doctor?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, if you can introduce yourself to the guests, that would be great.
Sure. Yes, I'm Dr. Johnson. I am a practicing dentist anesthesiologist in Southern California. I work between Southern California and the Central Valley mostly within the last couple of years, travel into different offices. I think there are about 5 offices in total that I rotate with every single month. So I don't really take any new offices. I just go with the same offices that I've been working with for the last couple of years or so. I would say that takes up the majority of my time. And recently I have scaled back slightly to be able to pursue my consulting through the efficiency catalyst. So that's what I've been doing, not on the side, but that is in conjunction with. So I do that pretty much every day. That's my other business. I also own a dental office, which in Southern California, I don't work there, but I manage staff there. So that is part of me just building up some assets and being able to serve the community in that area. So that's pretty much it for me and what I do. I also practice in Barbados, where I'm from originally. So, I'm there pretty much every month. And when I go home, I spend about 2 or 3 days practicing anesthesia there, serving again the community, mostly kids, but I do that once a month. So I work actively for 3 weeks out of the month, and then another week I'm in Barbados pretty much each and every time.
That is amazing, Doc. I truly, wow, that's amazing, man. I love it. Doc, I'm interested to know about what is the efficiency catalyst is about.
Sure.
What is your model in that business, and what are you trying to accomplish?
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for asking. So in the Efficiency Catalyst, what I do is I work with mostly DSOs and specifically pediatric DSOs, helping them integrate anesthesia services and ortho into their practice and help them with, as the name suggests, the efficiency of their practice, helping them to increase revenue, but at the same time, provide much needed quality service to their patients. I find that, there are several consultants which focus on revenue, increasing revenue and those types of things, which is perfectly fine. And I do that, but not at the expense of quality and patient-centric care. That is what I'm all about. So if you had to look at mine versus some others, I'm centered specifically on the patient. And I tell the practices, okay, well, yeah, I can show you certain things that you need to do that can help you become more efficient. But at the same time, I figure you spend the time serving the patient, the money just comes, right? It's just, I've seen it happen many, many, many times. So that is essentially what I do. And I offer these offices certain pieces of technology, some which I've developed and others that are off the shelf that I believe will help them to be able to be more efficient and serve the patient population in a much better way than they've been doing currently.
Yeah, that's amazing. The one thing that you mentioned, I think I have had this conversation with Master before too. I think in any business, especially in dentistry, when you focus on that patient, like you said, the money will come. And I think a lot of time these dental practices, especially when it comes to the DSOs, they're so focused on the business side of things that sometimes they can compromise that patient experience. And the patients do notice it. So why do you think that patient experience side of it is so important, especially in dentistry?
Well, I mean, I guess many of us would have had our own reasons for getting into dentistry. I would say I kind of stumbled upon dentistry in the first place, if I was being perfectly honest. But as I was in dentistry, the satisfaction came from helping people. And I wanted to make sure that I did not lose sight of that because I was chasing money. And all of us have to live, right? We've had to pay money to go to school. It costs to practice, and we need to be compensated fairly for it. But I don't cut corners. And so I took that same, ethical way of practicing and my own desires to the Efficiency Catalyst, which is a consultancy, right? Because I feel like, yes, I can help any DSO. Many people can do that. Help any DSO increase revenue. We can cut out the margins here. We can do this. We can do that. And the traditional way of increasing revenue tends to be at the expense of the patient. I see it all the time. I don't like it. And I figure I needed to do something differently. So when I help a DSO, I need to let them know that I am looking at the patient first. This is where we start, and the money is going to flow. I promise you. I've seen it enough times to know that it works best that way.
That's great. I mean, stepping back to basically your role as a dentist, you have a mix of kind of both experiences. Own a dental practice, and you also work for other practices. Which
Yes.
one do you find more pleasant? Like, if you had a scale that you could put them on, which one would come down more as a pleasant?
I think they're different. I like them both for different reasons. I like owning a practice because it is an opportunity, like I said, to serve in that community, and it's an opportunity for me to utilize a lot of the systems that I teach in the practice as well, and use that as a model. Working with DSOs is also fantastic because I always like to fix problems, right? That is what I look for, problems to fix. And I like fixing and building. And if I see a problem, I invariably try to find a solution. So I like them both for different reasons, and which is why I'm still working. I don't plan to work that much longer, but working with DSOs as I do primarily now allows me to see some of the things that occur and how I would change and fix those kind of things that do happen. So typically when I go to an office, whether it's a single office or DSO, I always identify areas that need adjustment, and I share those with the owners or the practicing dentists, and they trust me enough to be able to implement some of those things. Some people don't, and the majority do. And when they see how things are different, they're like, "Oh, wow, this is really great." And again, it's still centered on the patient, right? But there's small tweaks that you can make, and patients notice. Patients notice this stuff. They notice when things are different, and as long as they're getting the right experience, they will never stop talking about you, right? So I like them both, like, for different reasons, and I don't think I would choose to do one over the other.
Yeah. The thing about dentistry, like something that I just discovered as you were talking, every dentist that I've seen, they're both a dentist and they also follow another venture. Like, I've never seen a dentist that's just a dentist, just works on teeth. Like, there's always something else that they're working on. Like with Milad, he's working on his other platform, his other venture that he's really passionate about,
Right.
With you, like, you got into the efficiency catalyst thing, and a bunch of other dentists I know, like, as I said, I technically don't know any dentists that are not following another venture,
I see.
technically. Firstly, why is it that dentists are so much into entrepreneurship? Like, they're just not satisfied with doing dentistry alone. They want to do something else on the side. And second thing, what was your reason to get into what you are in right now, the
Okay,
efficiency?
perfect. Okay, those are really great questions. I think if you look at the anatomy of a dentist, which is why they set up their own shop, pretty much, right? The independence of it they're looking at, the whole idea that they can set the direction for themselves rather than it being set for them. I think that that is in the DNA of most dentists that I know. As time goes on, I think you notice that, look, dentistry may not be the necessarily be the best retirement model, right? There's all kinds of things that can happen. People get hurt, it can take a toll on your body. For me, as I just mentioned to you before we started, I am pretty much up at, my alarm goes off around 3:30 in the morning. Okay, so pretty much every day. And I get up, come to work, and I do that. It's a grind. I love it. I love taking care of children. I wouldn't trade that. I do enjoy it. So if I didn't enjoy it, I couldn't do it the way that I do it now. But I see the desire for when I do work and see things that need addressing, I want to address them. And so instead of looking for somebody else to fix it, I said, well, maybe I can fix it. And so that's how I think about it. And I think that, especially in this day and age, everybody is looking for some way other than having to go in to make money, right? To be able to support themselves or their families or whatever. Everybody is looking for something else to do. And dentists typically are involved in some type of real estate venture or something. They have their hand in something else. Me, I am looking to pivot entirely away from clinical practice into full-time efficiency catalyst, where I can share the information that I have and knowledge to help other practitioners and DSOs do better in the space of dentistry. So that is, my days would be pretty boring if all I was doing was anesthesia and coming home it's just never sit well with me. I've never one to be able to just do one thing. My hands are, if you talk to people, they'll tell you, man, you're doing so many different things. I can't help it. I'm always doing something. It just keeps my mind busy and I get bored easily. So I want to make sure that the things that I put my hand on, I truly have purpose, right? So I feel a purpose in the things that I'm doing. It's not just doing it to do it. I feel a purpose, and the joy of helping and serving and developing others or businesses is I can get it and do that all day long, no problem. I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, and it totally makes sense. I mean, there's something that they always say that, the older you get and the more you experience life, the only thing that you're gonna regret is not doing enough things, not trying out new things. Like, these are
Agreed.
all the things that are gonna come out as regrets. So I think you're on the very right path. And it kind of makes sense because, dentistry, even though it's an enjoyable job, I would say, like it's joyful to do
Hmm.
dentistry, but at the same time, it's very challenging, especially if you own a practice, if you own a DSO.
Yes.
So I can imagine why people don't want to stick to it. Like, they still like it because they know it's for good cause. But when it comes to the monetary part, that they think of it, okay, I have to do this to make a living. They rather do something else to make a living. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. I mean, I practiced traditional dentistry for 5 years before I went back and did anesthesia. So I'm aware of what it is to be a practicing wet dentistry, so to speak. And I enjoy that too for what it was. But I was just never settled, and I could never, ever, 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 ever see myself doing that every day for a long time. There's no way, no way, no how. So the opportunity to do anesthesia, I seized that opportunity, and it has opened up a lot more things for me. I like being mobile, just that fits with my personality of loving to travel in the first place. So that works. And learning from other people. And I've worked here in California, Barbados, Montana, Texas. I've worked all over the place. And, seeing how people practice and how they think and how they do things, it's great for me. That variety is beneficial to me. I could not imagine, going to the dental office every day. Yet I do have colleagues who salivate every day of going into the office to seat a crown or to place an implant. And good for them. I mean, that's what they enjoy, and they get nourishment intellectually from that. It wouldn't be for me, but I can see why people do that. But I just decided to do things a little bit differently. And now that I have been around enough times and I could see all the different areas that need addressing, I figure it's time to do that. So, especially now with the advent of AI, I've been utilizing that to build software programs and platforms and different things to be able to help DSOs along the way. So I think, getting up every day is a different, no 2 days are the same for me at all.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, when you were talking, I just realized how lucky I was to have surrounded myself with the adventurous type of dentists, not with
Hmm.
the boring ones that go to the clinic. Well, so about AI and the softwares that you've built, that's kind of like my forte, and I do a lot of research. I'm
Oh,
a
nice.
software developer myself, and
Wow, nice, nice.
yeah, about 2 years back, I also started that's basically how I got into dentistry and into this market, this industry. About 2 years back, I started a software company in the field of AI. It's pretty much pure AI because so many of the things that we do, they're basically controlled by models, neural networks, and those kind of things.
Correct.
So what's it like? What have you built? How are you finding it? How has that helped your customers? All those things.
Well, in different ways. So let's just put it, okay. So AI, it seems as though it just showed up one day and then just took off. It is at a rapid pace and it is not slowing down. It is everywhere, pretty ubiquitous now, and you cannot avoid it, right? And I do know that there's some dentists, some dental offices that I work with, some DSOs, as a matter of fact, who don't have any piece of AI software, anything in their practice, and it baffles me because if these are the same places that are looking for productivity and revenue growth, and this is one of the quickest and easiest ways is to start leveraging those that, software that utilizes AI to be able to be more productive. So I find that to be quite interesting. And so then my job is to come in and share with them what I think could work. And it's never a one size fits all situation, which is why I recognize that I needed to kind of build some stuff myself. So in the field of anesthesia, I have built and we're currently testing a piece of software that specifically integrates into the DSOs that have multiple practices and are integrating anesthesia. So it allows them to see how their particular teams work and produce. So for example, you have anesthesiologists A, B, C, D, E, dentists E, F, G, H, I, J, and different combinations produce different results. Different locations produce different results. So it's a bunch of predictive analytics and a way to optimize scheduling and staffing and patients to be able to say, okay, this gives you the best bang for your buck. And this allows you to treat more patients and it allows you to treat more patients safely, which is the key, right? Safely. Because safety is a big thing for me when it comes to anesthesia. I deal with kids as young as 2 years old. So we can't skimp on that. So I've built a platform that we're currently testing and demoing that you can install, and that will just revolutionize the way how you do anesthesia. From now on, it's just a lot of automatic scheduling as opposed to people, jumping on the phone to schedule a bunch of things. They don't have to do that anymore. It is all handled by AI in a fashion that is sensitive to patients and staff as well. And it's really easy to use. The UI is really good. It's just really easy to use and be able to integrate. So that's just one of the things I'm working on. And the other one is like a marketplace for anesthesiologists and DSOs, or anesthesiologists and dental office, to come together. Because a lot of the times an office is looking for an anesthesiologist, can't find one. And, there's a platform that we built that will connect the two. And there's an AI portion of that as well. So I've been working on a lot of these things for a long time, and all of them have come to a head at one point now where we're all testing and demoing different things. And then, the other thing that I recognize is happening is, look, if you own a dental office and there's so many AI solutions out there, like how do you sift through and determine what to use? And are you going to sign up for all of them and pay thousands of dollars every month to use? I mean, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. So how do you determine what works best? And I think not too many people are looking at that, like where there are these disparate pieces of software that need to talk to each other but don't. So we're developing something that is kind of like invisible, if you can imagine that. Doesn't require a dashboard or a login, but it's invisible, it's there. And it pulls everything together to give you insights across several different platforms all at the same time. So that's what we're also working on right now with a different team. And that should be, I spoke to them last night, so we should be looking to kind of deploy that pretty quickly within the next month or so. So we've been kind of pushing hard on this stuff and looking at the issues because we want to just kind of make things easy for people to not, because I hate logging into a bunch of different stuff. I hate having to do all that stuff. So I figure if I dislike it, many people do dislike it too. And so we're trying to make that easier for dental offices, DSOs, and then more importantly, a patient experience that feels just natural and seamless and removes a lot of the friction that currently exists in the marketplace.
And Dr. I mean, the journey you're going on, it sounds amazing, and this is always how it starts, and there's always a bright end, I mean, to these kind of journeys.
Hmm.
I've seen it a few times in my life.
Hmm.
Which part of it do you enjoy the most? Like, within this entrepreneurship journey? Like, if I
Hmm.
speak to myself, for
Hmm.
myself, I really love building. Like, there are a whole many other parts. Like, some people love management, managing teams. I hate that.
So do
That
I.
thing to me. Whenever I've told me that, like, within our team, whenever there's drama, whenever there's something like some teammates are not working, I'm like, Mila, please pull me out of it. I just want to get back to building. That's all I
Yeah,
care about.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's another parts like the business part, marketing, sales, doing demos, fundraising. Which part of it do you enjoy the most?
I am the builder person, right? So I am I would say the visionary, the person who conceives of an idea and talks that through with multiple individuals who can actually build the stuff that I want, right? So every day I think about how I can make something better. Even my own processes as an anesthesiologist, how can I remove bottlenecks and fix things that exist? So the part that I enjoy is not having to manage teams. No, I couldn't care less. But I do like talking to the smart people who know how to build this stuff, and we communicate back and forth, and they explain to me what is difficult to do and what is possible but not possible now, and all those kind of things. But that is the part that I enjoy most. Marketing, not really, but I do understand I'm gonna have to be involved to do some of that. It's my business, right? I don't have a choice. Sales, same thing. So while I don't relish that very much, I realize it's part of what I have to do. I mean, I went to business school for a couple of years, so I do have appreciation for and knowledge of a lot of these things, but doesn't mean I like to do it, but I know how to do them. But the part that I like is just conceiving of the vision and seeing the vision to completion. It never ends up the way it starts, that is amazing to me, because I do like, sometimes there are twists and turns and they can take you down some unexpected places. Now, everything I do doesn't work. That's just how life is, and that's okay. But you have to try something. So I have a million ideas. I just have to decide, triage, and decide which ones I'm gonna tackle first, and push all the other ones off to the side while I work on this one. And then, once that's completed, then pick up the other one. But I am not lost for ideas. I can tell you that.
That's amazing. And how do you make sure? Because it's something me and Mila were literally discussing maybe a few hours back.
Hmm.
When you start a software company or whatever kind of venture, you have to make sure that you keep it very niche. No matter how many ideas you have, like a million, 10 million, billions, whatever, you
Yeah.
have to make sure everything is in line and everything is basically going in parallel. If you want to take on too many branches, you'll end up not getting anywhere. So, I mean, with the million ideas that you just said, how do you make sure that all of them are with the same purpose? Does that make sense,
I,
by the way?
100%. So, because I have the tendency to go off on tangents and do a bunch of different things, I know that about myself, right? And because, like I said, I have a million ideas. So, I have to resist the temptation to pursue everything. So, the things that I'm pursuing right now, they're all connected. And I make sure that every piece of software that I build, they all can talk to each other, and they're serving a purpose that you put them all together, it just, can blow you out of the water. But everything is connected. So I do not, while I have other things that I'm thinking about, I cannot, lose my focus on where it is I really want to go. And I've struggled with that, over time, because I know myself, and I've had, I have colleagues and people who I speak with who are able to say, okay, Neil, let's focus on this. Let's only worry about this part, and we can focus on that part later. And I have to say, okay, fine. Let me just focus on that. So I do have colleagues and people who I trust who are able to kind of pull me back from the brink, so to speak, right? You need to have those people who can, in your ear, that you respect, and will tell you, look, you don't go down this road, or just stay here and do this. So I think I've been much better now than I have been before. And if there are ideas and things that are going on, I tell people, I said, okay, look, I can give you some information on how this will work, but I cannot spend any time on it. If you want to do it, you can, and I will set this part up and you can run with it, right? But I cannot because you're spread too thin, right? And then you don't accomplish anything, just like you said, right? It doesn't make sense to me, right? So I refuse to be kind of distracted by anything that does not service the ultimate goal. And I push those things off to the side. I mean, there's never any shortage of ideas. There's always something that will come up later on down the road. So let me just not worry too much about it,
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, of the million ideas that you mentioned, what made you prioritize basically the one that you're working on right now?
Well, in addition to the one that excites me the most, so that let's start there, right? It has to be exciting for me to do it, spend any time on it. So that's number one. And number two, it is where I felt I can create the greatest impact. And that is where I decided to start there. And then, like I said, push other things off to the side that were not in service of that goal. So I feel that I have it kind of dialed in pretty nicely. Yes, there are a couple tangential things, but I've already spoken to the people who've said, okay, let's do this. I said, nope, I am not gonna spend any time on this. I cannot. So you guys are gonna have to figure out how that part works. And then you and I can talk later. Because while I like those things, I don't feel as committed and as driven for those things as what I'm working on right now. So it's an easy decision to make. Because sometimes, people will try to make you think if you don't act now, just, some of those commercials, if you don't act now, you're going to lose this. Like people try to sell you stuff and say, well, if you don't buy this in the next few hours, the price is going to go up. And okay, fine, let it go up. Same thing. Yeah. People figure if you don't act now and do this thing, then all of a sudden, somebody else is going to do it. Oh, well, fine, let somebody else do it. Right. There's no shortage of opportunities at all. I mean, so let me not even worry about it. Something will come along, and yes, you may figure, well, somebody else picks up the mantle and runs with it. Oh, so what? I'm doing something else.
Oh, that's amazing. The one thing I wanted to ask you, is what do you think is the way the dentistry is going? As you said, like the AI is getting involved. As we practice in dentistry, the X-ray getting AI with Pearl and all the other companies. How do you see the field of dentistry changing, especially now with the way the AI is getting involved? What are you predicting the changes are going to be? And are those changes going to be good, bad, or are they going to have any positive impact into the industry? What is your thought on that?
So yes, like if understanding that AI is a tool to be used to help in your productivity and also help your patients. So we understand that that's what it does and it's helpful in that regard. People who adopt the technology recognize that they can do more in less time, which translates to more dollars per hour, more patients seen and cared for in a shorter amount of time, reducing all kinds of inefficiencies in the system. And so if you adopt that and you understand exactly how that works, you're able to do very, very well. So, and the key is like, what? Look, I don't want to work every day, right? And I suspect that the goal is not to work harder, it's to work smarter. And I am sure most dentists now only work 4 days a week, but I can see where you only end up working 3 days a week and accomplishing the same thing you would have accomplished in 4. So that is what I think AI does, and it's going in that direction. If I had to look at it from the other standpoint, like I mentioned earlier, there's so many different solutions. Which one do you pick? Do you pick Pearl? Do you pick Overjet? Do you pick Video Health? Do you pick some of the other smaller ones? Which one do you pick? Do you choose Zentis or some of another revenue cycle management AI company? Which one do you pick? And I figure people should have choices, but the choices are overwhelming. I mean, every single day I look online, there's something else, right? So I think that things are happening for the better, but it will come an AI overload. And I'm about to post something on that shortly. AI fatigue, right? Where you're so inundated by it that you become paralyzed and you don't do anything. All right. So I think we need to manage it a bit better than we're currently managing it right now. But in anything, when there's a boom, there's a lot of players in the market. And then after a while, you'll see people fall off and drop off and different things start to happen. And I think there'll be some consolidation at some point. I promise you that you're going to see a couple of these large AI companies start merging and maybe acquiring the other, or they just have some type of merger. I guarantee you're going to see a couple of those shortly. It is the smartest thing to do in my view. right? So dentistry will get better. Patients can be served really, really well going forward. And AI is not the only thing. The AI is going to spawn something more. I don't know what that thing is yet, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be crazy. And hopefully we're all here to see it.
Yeah.
But I think it's helped dentistry quite a bit, honestly.
Yeah. I had this discussion we had Mike from Planet DDS on our podcast, and I was having this conversation with him, and I found it somewhat fascinating, at least for me, when I practice dentistry, no matter what kind of AI tool that they're using with the X-ray, with Pearl, and all that. I think it's good for the patient, but I don't agree with it in a sense of clinician, because I think
Mm-hmm.
clinicians got to be able to rely on their education to make
Mm-hmm.
judgment. Because I have
Mm-hmm.
seen so many dentists that are kind of borderline. Is this a cavity? Is this not a cavity? And they allow the AI to kind of determine for them what the treatment they're gonna the AI is affecting their treatment outcome for the patient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Do you think that this is something, because I feel like that somewhat is a negativity or has some negative impact to the patient treatment outcome. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a good thing, bad thing? Do you think it's good for the patient education? What is your thought process on that?
Yeah, well, okay, so I feel that, look, there's no substitute for going to dental school. And if you were able to graduate from dental school and get a dental license, it means that you can practice. Whether you are a super competent dentist or not, you don't know that until some patient or somebody says otherwise, right? But you have a license to practice and you're practicing. So let's start there. And you decide that you're going to use AI to help, like I said, Pearl, Overjet, Video Health. These are all common platforms that people are using. And quite honestly, the AI becomes way better at diagnosis than you can. It does it faster than you can. Over time, it gets better at this stuff. And and I don't find that I don't feel like there's something mutually exclusive from having that. And because who is going to fill that cavity? I mean, AI is not going to do it necessarily. You are, right? You're the one that's still going to have to verify that as well. But I think there's a skepticism, which I totally do understand, because part of it is that many people don't fully understand how AI works, and some of these misconceptions can kind of make people not use it, or on the other hand, people overuse it and over rely on it. But I will tell you that you can't escape using it. And if you try not to and you rely on what we know, like you said, the education you would have gotten, which is pretty sure pretty solid, you'll still be behind. Because these things do help go faster. There's no question. Just like, some of these MRIs and cancer diagnoses, they're read by a radiologist, but radiologists will tell you that the AI picks up some things that they would have missed, because we're human and we're fallible, and AI is not foolproof, but it has reduced the number of errors. And we're not talking about generative AI. We're talking about, because they're different types. So we're talking more of like a deterministic type of AI, or whatever, that this is 1 and 1 is 2, it's not 11, right? So there are different ways in which the AI can be applied. And I'm not fearful of that. I think, yes, there are always borderline dentists, but AI doesn't make them better dentists. It helps them help the patient, yes. But if your hand skills are not there, then we're still back at square one. But I would appreciate having something that helps me not miss a cavity, for example, 100% without any issue. I'm happy to do that. And I don't think that, okay, we had Overjet in our office. Let me give you that example. And I could go in and look, and I can look at the X-ray and I can say, yep, I see something, and then sometimes I'm not so sure. And then you overlay the AI on it, and then all of a sudden you get or amplification or elucidation of what that could be. And I think that's very helpful. And I'm all for anything that is going to help me be better. So I think you can over rely on things, anything, no matter what it is, whether it's AI or some piece of equipment in your office that people buy. I've seen bad dentists buy like the most expensive toys because they figure it'll make them better, and it does not. And AI is no different, right? So I feel like there are always pros and cons to this, but I'm on the side where I feel like, you know what? This will really help people be better at their jobs. I feel that way.
And
The
Doctor,
one thing go ahead, Master.
I was just gonna ask a question about this AI stuff.
Hmm.
Are you all optimistic about where things are going? I mean, from the looks of it, you are. You definitely are. You
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
200%
Yeah.
optimistic. But
Yeah.
I mean, as a developer, as a software engineer, I always have to look at the dark side because the bright side is just working. Everyone's happy, everyone's having a good day, AI is, solving their problems. But as a developer, I have to look at the side where things are failing, where, people are suffering from it, where things are going wrong, people are losing money.
Hmm.
What do you feel about the dark side of AI right now? And how do you think it's going to improve? Like, which direction it will go?
Look, I feel like, okay, let's take the internet for example, right? When I was in undergrad studying medical technology, I was studying in Barbados and Jamaica. At the time, the internet was not really a thing, right? And I remember that I was first exposed to it at the University of the West Indies in Mona, Jamaica, when I was looking to work on a project and I was trying to figure out like, because up until then I was going to the library, pulling the books and whatever. And then that university, a professor had this thing called the internet and blah, blah, blah. And the dreaded dial up sound you used to get. And this thing would whirl and then spit this stuff out. I was like, oh, this is nice, right? But then what happened? Well, there's a dark web. There's all kind of unsavory information on the internet. But does that mean that you don't use it? All of us use it every single day. We were kind of lost without it, right? So there's a dark side to every piece of technology and every piece of new software or whatever shows up. There's always a dark side. You can always use it for good and you can use it for, there's a lot of bad actors already. We know this. You know this as a developer. We know this. It is not something we can avoid. So it behooves us now to put certain regulations and things in place that are able to help at least mitigate some of the things that can occur. It will never stop it. But that's just the world we live in. There's never a utopia, a panacea, nothing that is foolproof and never goes wrong, or they're not bad actors. We know this, right? Hackers are now going to start going after these chatbots as a way into your system as well. And I had a cybersecurity expert on my podcast 2 weeks ago. We were talking about that as well. So there is a dark side. We know that. And she is not as bullish on AI as I am. And I know this a lot from talking to her, but she understands that it's something that we can't avoid and we have to push forward with it. But there are certain safeguards we're going to have. So am I worried about it? Not constantly, but I know that it's a problem, and there will be things that raise their heads and cause us a lot of issues. I guarantee you it. But we're gonna just have to kind of figure that out too. But there's no going back. That genie can't go back in the bottle. Or to use a dental reference, the toothpaste is already out of the tube, right? So there's no other way to go back on that. So that's just how I feel.
That's a great insight. But I think if I rephrase my question by dark side, I mean, there's that side of it too, that there are bad actors and they're going to use it in
Hmm.
good ways. And they are already doing it. Like, there are
Right,
areas they're doing that I don't want to talk about here, but there are bad actors doing bad
right,
things.
right.
By the dark side, it technically meant that there are areas that AI is failing. And there are areas
Yeah,
that, in order for it to get improved, like I can see this in action right now.
right,
At least in
right.
my field, like in the voice AI field, the companies that became successful within the voice AI within their own respective industries, like, there's this company called Bland AI. They basically just focus on enterprise customers. The reason they became successful was not because they had a better AI, but because they built better algorithms around the AI. So in this case, it wasn't AI that improved, that, basically made the company take off. It was
Right.
basically the algorithms that was built around it. And then if you're going that way, then it doesn't necessarily mean that AI is getting better. It just means that it's a tool, like every other tool, there are going to be improvements, but it's not going to take over. Because, the thing that bothers everyone about AI is that it works based on probabilities. And in business, you don't want probabilities. You want deterministic results, something that you give, because algorithms are pretty much like black boxes, right? Like, you give A to it, and then when you expect a B, you're going to get a B. But when you give that same A to an AI, you're not sure that you're going to get a B. Like, does that make sense? So,
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So no, I mean, I have solid examples of that. For example, let's take, for example, the company called Cloud Ortho. That was my last podcast episode, will be out at the end of the month. And I am head of strategy and growth for them. They use deterministic AI for their platforms, right? Like, this is solid evidence based. Like, it can't be any other way than what it is, right? This is what the science says. This is what it is. You're not, again, 1 and 1 is 2, not 11, right? So that is how that platform works. It's a wholly different way how that AI works. So that is one example. The other example is this company called Quario. That is one of the most impressive companies I have seen so far. That is, and it's an enterprise level, and I think the founder worked on Wall Street or Goldman Sachs, statistical guy. And if you look at their website, they're gonna tell you that their AI is right 100% of the time, because of what type of algorithms they're using to be able to get to the outcome that businesses are looking for, right? You don't want to say, well, the likelihood of this or that, like you talk about the probabilities and whatnot. I've seen that happen, and I know a lot of the excitement is around generative AI. Get it, and that is fine. It's fun in my view for different things. So I see that as fun, but that's not the area that I'm playing in, right? I am more on the deterministic side. So the stuff that we are looking at is building off of that. And yes, there's a little bit of generative, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm looking at things a little bit differently. So yes, when you talk about the dark side, I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And if you start incorrectly, you end incorrectly, right? Or if you start and not sure exactly where you're going, what do you expect, right? So things can go pretty much off the rails. So for me, I am aware of that because I talk to developers a lot and I have them school me on this stuff, and I am happy to learn from them, and I read up on it as well so I can understand a little bit more. I am not a developer, obviously, but I do have the appreciation for the skill that it takes into building some of these things, and understanding that, again, it's not a panacea, right? And you have to know what you're doing and what outcomes you're looking for to determine how the AI could be useful in that regard. So what I think about the dark side, in short, I think you're going to see a lot of purported solutions that really are not very good. And people are going to buy into some of this stuff and then realize it doesn't get them where they want to go. So I don't jump on every bandwagon. I don't, but I do actually admire some of these companies that are doing things a little bit differently. And to me, that part is exciting. I love the fact that, they're tackling some of the hard problems and really working on crisp quality type of software and outcomes for people.
Well, Dr. Johnson, I know you get up 4 in the morning, but I'm going to ask you one more question before I let you go.
Sure, sure,
And
sure.
the question that I really want to ask you is, what is your long-term vision for the efficiency catalyst? What do you really want to try to accomplish in the dental industry market with your organization?
hmm So my passion is to change the way how people view DSOs as just dental mills. It is a it is an unfortunate moniker or reputation, and in many cases, well deserved, right? Some of these well deserved. But I want to focus on making some substantive changes in that area, where a DSO is not just seen as one of those things that they just care about, like what return they get, and, kind of screw the patient, so to speak. Like, that is what I would love to do. That's my purpose. Working with DSOs that really want to do that, because I don't work with everybody. I don't, because I tell you up front, my focus is the patient. So if you're coming to me and you're saying, well, look, we need to have better outcomes, we need to have better standardization and whatnot, I'm with you all the way. And as a benefit, you'll see the revenue increase without even having to try that hard, right? So that is how I present myself. But when I see the efficiency catalyst, I'm not just looking future, not just dentistry, healthcare in general. So I want to move past, or not move past, but include other areas of healthcare that I think need attention. So the efficiency catalyst is going to start moving into more of a general healthcare type of field. And because I have a passion for that. My mom recently got sick, very, very ill a month ago, and having to see how the healthcare is back home where it's woefully inadequate in some places. And I saw easy ways to fix certain things, but I started to see a greater vision of how it could be tackled. Not something I'm going to work on anytime soon, but what I'm saying is I see how I can apply these same technologies, same frameworks to healthcare in general. And here's the thing, I love to collaborate. I love working with people who have a similar vision. I don't have to do everything myself. Some people have skills that obviously I don't have, and we come together and we can move the ball further down the road, right? I don't believe on going it alone. I don't like that. So I feel like, so that's how I see things going. To give myself, from the personal standpoint, more flexibility to live anywhere I want and still be able to be effective. I don't want to be tied down geographically. And I want my days to be filled with things that rejuvenate me, but at the same time knowing that, and so that I can then be in a position to be more helpful to other people. And that's how I see it.
Well, Dr. Johnson, with what you said, I think is a great way for us to kind of close up this podcast. Your message of wanting to help others. I think all the dentists, we have one goal when we get into dentistry, and I think if you ask every single one of us, our goal always is to help others, to make things better. As you're talking, I can feel the passion of what you're doing coming through the screen, and I truly appreciate what you're doing. I think what you're doing is so important for our industry, for the mental health, for making the process better, to helping the dentists and the healthcare. As we know, the healthcare in the United States is not the best. So I think it needs a lot of area that needs to get efficient and get better. So I truly appreciate your time, Dr. Johnson. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Happy to have joined you. Thank you so much.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right.